Hello, Nicola Grace, your mission mentor here, three-time international best-selling author and creator of Mission Blueprint, founder of Strategy with Spirit Nuggets. And welcome to this month's Strategy with Spirit edition. I'm focusing on the universal law of mind this month to help us really get to grips with what it takes to get ahead with our mission in life. This is for you if you're struggling with any of your goals right now. It's also for you if you're wanting to go to the next level of your mission or business, but something seems to be holding you back. And over the past few months, particularly in these last few weeks, I've had a slew of clients, colleagues, and friends noting that they just don't seem to be breaking free and getting momentum on what they're working on, wondering if it will always be such a struggle. And this seems to be the case regardless of how much actual money they're making. So in the May Strategy with Spirit Nuggets, we looked at how the mind works in harmony with your brain and the laws of nature to bring about that which you experience in life. And we went into how you can work with these laws to magnetize to you the experiences you do want. Well, given the volume of people coming to me really struggling with finances, projects and missions, and I thought I'd focus specifically on three core memory packages you may hold in your mind that magnetize those experiences which have you struggling to move forward and have you feeling like you're on a treadmill and you're just not picking up momentum. These are three areas that, if they're not identified and removed, they keep you on the treadmill of never really getting to where you want to be. And some of the material I'm going to be sharing with you today is right out of step number 5 of my Mission Blueprint program, which is identify and remove resistance. And I'm taking the gloves off today, and I'm going to be talking about some things that very few transformation teachers are saying, yet I can tell you they know. They're just not sharing it with you. And I'm going to give you all the answers and then tell you what you need to do to get consistent forward momentum in your life so you can succeed in living a life of purpose and prosperity and fulfill your soul's grand plan for your life, what I'm calling your Mission Blueprint. So let's start by examining this staggering finding in the survey. 1,000 people were asked about whether they had reached their goals, achieved their dreams, or conquered their desires as far as health, wealth, and life happiness was concerned, and were they happy with the results. Only 3% said they were truly happy with their results. 3%. That means only 30 people had what they wanted out of life. Well, now in science it said that surveying 1,000 people in a cross-section of the community is a fair representation of the population at large. That's why they usually do scientific experiments with 1,000 people. So that being said, 3% of our population are happy with the results they're getting. What? That's outrageous! After 50 years of the personal development and human potential movement, millions of books on life purpose, how to be happy, effective, get results, master your subconscious mind, how to get rich, thousands of seminars and hundreds of messengers, billions of dollars being made from selling improve your life products and services, and the movie The Secret and following law of attraction work, the result is that only 3% are happy with the results they're getting? I'm sorry, that's not acceptable. Something's missing. So what is it that's missing? Why are only a small amount of people moving forward in life and achieving their goals and dreams, or living the life that they want to be living? Because when we're happy, we're on purpose. That is where our happiness is. It isn't anywhere else. Well, the answer's threefold, as I see it. That 97% are not accurately on the path of their soul's grand plan for their life, so they don't have the power and force of their soul, and then meaning force in a positive way, and the laws of mind and nature to carry them forward with less effort. I discovered when I stepped up to my higher purpose and saved that billion-dollar industry from ruin, that one of the 10 reasons I was able to achieve in 6 months something the industry had failed to do in 7 years was because I was precisely on my purpose with pinpoint accuracy.
I'm seeing the same result in my clients too once they get on their mission blueprint. It all just aligns beautifully, and then once you're in total alignment, you pick up speed and things start to happen as they should be, with a lot less stress and a lot less effort. And it's not that you're not going to work hard, because I work hard, but I love what I'm doing, so I don't actually consider it hard work. The number 2 thing that I think is missing is that most people don't do the inner work effectively or consistently. And here's where I'll tell you something not even a handful of the industry giants in personal or spiritual development are telling you, and yet they're all doing it. And I know because these guys are my colleagues, and I get to talk to them about how they made it. More on that in just a moment. So that's number 2 reason, not doing the inner work effectively or consistently. And the third reason 97% of the people are not getting their results, as I see it, is that they're not identifying the resistance or moving forward, and so they don't adequately remove that resistance to create forward progress, and they stay stuck in status quo. Things are the same year in, year out, not really getting ahead in any significant way. So we are living in a time right now where the middle class is slowly disappearing, and the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And the statistics are out there, I'm not making this up. And I'll tell you right now, that's not the fault of government or the extremely rich. They're just representations of mass collective consciousness beliefs. It comes down to something else that you need to remove. In fact, the so-called 99%, if you're familiar with that term, need to collectively get together on and move it, shift it, remove it from the collective consciousness. And I'm going to elaborate on what it is that we need to do in just a moment. First, let's get to the nitty-gritty of what you're not being told by other industry giants in my field. And that is, there's work to be done. And it's inner work. Most of us work hard in our world and in our daily life, but we don't apply that same principle of work to the inner plane. And it was Bruce Lipton who said that 95% of the results we get throughout our day come from our subconscious mind. So if 95% of our results are from the subconscious mind, why is almost 100% of our day spent in doing the manual work of our daily life's existence, right? So if you're working hard, doing everything you think you need to be doing to live a life of purpose, but you're still not getting ahead, you're struggling financially, or you're not quite reaching the next level of abundance that you want, and you're not getting the clients you want and so on, you're in that 97% of people that are not going to be happy with the results they're getting. You know you could be getting better results. You should be getting better results, and you certainly deserve them. So look, I'm sorry to be so blunt, but you're not doing the right type of inner work effectively enough or consistently enough, if these are the types of the experiences that you're having. And I don't mean to be hard on you, but remember, I am the mission mentor, and mentors kick butt sometimes to get your butt over the line. My mentors did that with me, and I actually do it for myself on a daily basis too. Look, last year I was at a speakers convention among about 500 of my peers. Talking to the ones who had the so-called charmed life, here's what they all said, not exactly, but similar words or words to the effect. You know, and then most of them did start with, you know, every morning and every night I did the inner work. Every morning and every night? Did you know that? What do you do every morning and every night? Did you know that all these really successful people who are living their purpose and their dreams and getting richly rewarded for it are doing the inner work every morning and every night, or at least daily and consistently, in order to get where they are today? So in my initial video in this training series, I said most people don't do the inner work effectively or consistently, and I should have said just about everybody, 97% of people in fact. And you know, I love the synchronicity of our universe, because after I written the outline of my notes for today's podcast, within seconds actually I received an email from Mike Klinger. He's someone in my industry that I follow, and we have a number of messages that are in common. And it was so on target to what I was planning to teach today that I had to go back to my notes to insert his comments So I could share them with you. And here are some of his comments. Are you ready to stop BSing yourself about what it really takes to live the life you deserve? That's the male, that's that yang way of giving the same message that I'm giving. He goes on to talk about programs that don't deliver results, and then says they couldn't bring themselves to tell you the truth about how much you have left to work on yourself before you could ever expect to see the results you're after. Wow. So he's one of less than a handful of us willing to put our necks out there on the line and tell you the truth, because we're the ones that are going through it, right? We know what it's taking, and we're meeting our peers and hearing what they're telling us and teaching us, but they're not teaching it out there to the general population. Perhaps you've been thinking, but I've done this course and I've done that work and I've worked at programming my subconscious mind, I'm doing the LOA, I've removed that block, and it either hasn't worked or you mistakenly think that you don't need to do any more work on the inner plane. Here's the truth. Your results today are in direct relationship to what you have stored in both your subconscious mind and the neural net of your brain. It's still there. Right, it's still there, because the instant that it's gone, you will see tangible results of moving forward. Plus, and this is not widely talked about either, what you have unconsciously or consciously chosen to agree to at the collective consciousness level is also stored in that subconscious mind of yours and your brain. So in other words, societal, ancestral and collective consciousness beliefs you've chosen to agree upon, and therefore they become your reality. And so you're stuck in that belief system until you identify the resistance and remove it. So that brings me to the third point of what's missing. Why, after so many decades of the human potential movement, there are only 3% happy with their results. The 97% are not identifying the resistance to moving forward, so they don't adequately remove that resistance to create that forward progress. And they stay stuck in status quo. Things stay the same and they don't move, or only move in smaller, frustrating increments. So let's get to the solution, right? Because I'm all about the solution. I don't want to harp on about this anymore. Here are the 3 things that you need to do. You need to connect your hemisphere of your brain that contains purpose and spirituality with the part that contains work and reward. If you're in the 97%, I can pretty much guarantee you that you do not have the hemisphere of your brain that contains the ideas of work and compensation connected to the part that has spiritual work, purpose, love and passion. Therefore, until that connection is made, you'll struggle to experience the abundance of the universe and all good things, including money and resources. And this is why a lot of people are doing what they love and they're really passionate about what they're doing, but they still struggle financially, because those hemispheres in their brains have not married together yet. And this is also one of the reasons why so many spiritual people don't have values around money. In fact, they struggle with the idea that you can make money doing spiritual work, because perhaps even thinking money is somehow bad or evil and so on. They make the value choice that I'd rather be happy and spiritual than wealthy and unconscious. So, you know, those are just beliefs, right? And that's a great segue into the next thing you need to do with the inner work, because we live in a time and consciousness elevation on the planet right now where we can have both. We can be conscious, enlightened and wealthy and experience the abundance of the universe without anybody else having to sacrifice it because of our abundant universe. You don't need to sacrifice anything, and here's why. Because in step number 2 of what you need to do is to remove dualistic programming. No one tells you that about 50% of your beliefs stored in your brain come from ancestral lines, as much as 50 generations. Holy smackaroos. The first time I heard that out of the mouth of a brain scientist, I was gobsmacked. So like 50% of what I'm thinking and what I'm believing is not mine individually. It comes from my ancestors. Not only that, it goes back 50 generations. Holy smackaroos. But here's the kicker of that fact. Regardless of what culture you come from, you will track back in your ancestral lines to a time when the spiritual leaders and healers, medicine men and women, shamans, etc., people who did spiritual work in the community, did not have to participate in the day-to-day economy and work of the tribe. And this is where the split in the hemispheres of the brain occurred. This was the dualism that was occurring in our tribes that we still have in our brain today until you've actually married them together. So they were taken care of by the workers in the tribe because it was believed that there was a difference in labor versus spiritual work. It was believed that if the spiritual leaders participated in the day-to-day work of the tribe, they'd lose their special powers, gifts, and connection to the divine source. Well, that's still a belief many spiritual people hold today. It's stored in the part of your brain that connects you to your ancestral beliefs. But here's why you need to upgrade your beliefs for today's world. Firstly, it's not true that you lose your connection to spirit if you do manual labor or so-called non-spiritual work. It's just a belief, and you'll experience that disconnection until you change that belief. Also, and probably more to the point, spiritual leaders were often the wealthiest in the tribe because they were so well revered and taken care of, believing that somehow these people had more superior powers of knowledge than the rest of the tribe. And apart from that just being another belief, and certainly not being relevant to today's world, it's a belief in hierarchy and superiority nonetheless. Whether it's a spiritual leader at the top, or a corporation, or a government, or a super being, or a supermodel, or a movie star, or a great athlete, or a lawyer who charges an arm and a leg, this division of labor and then this hierarchy of being charged, to being able to charge certain things for certain talents and jobs and skills, that's a belief in hierarchy and therefore superiority and inferiority, and they are just beliefs. So another belief that is not true and outdated for today's modern world and place in our evolutionary history, I believe, because we're moving along from dualism into oneness. It is this dualistic programming that exists in our brains and our collective conscious memory, and therefore our subconscious mind. It presupposes that some work is spiritual and others are not. That's dualistic thinking. The foundation of that thinking is that there is a hierarchy of gifts and talents, and some talents are to be revered because they come from spirit, and therefore they should be given away, and others less so because they come from, well, where exactly? Where do we think those other talents and skills come from if they don't come from spirit, if they don't come from source? Are we not spiritual beings having a human experience? Don't we all come from the same source? So this type of thinking that some work is spiritual and others not is dualistic programming that is not only keeping people of spirit and heart today away from participating in the monetary economy with any great meaning, it's also simply not true, and it's elitist. That one person is better than another, so they get supported by the mob, is just another face of elitism. It might have been appropriate way back when, but it's not appropriate for today, and it's not helpful to think that way either. Our quantum scientists have now found that in every atom of every cell of everything that exists, including even the space between hard solid forms, is this unified field of intelligence. It's everywhere, in everything. It's intelligent and it's creative. So I spoke in yesterday's podcast about this universal creative intelligence, God if you prefer, or the universe great spirit, being inside of us. Literally, it's inside of every cell and the spaces in between. All our talents, therefore, skills and abilities come from spirit. They come from within us, don't they? And what is within us if it's not spirit? There isn't anything that doesn't come from this universal creative intelligence. And perhaps a distinction to make here is that in the field of the human ego, we can make up all sorts of stuff and then behave and think in unenlightening and non-spiritual ways. However, our talents and skills all come from spirit. From the lawyer to the healer, source, spirit. So the idea that you can't charge or make money doing spiritual work and you should give it away for free is hogwash given the society we live in today. We've got to upgrade our belief system to the society that we live in today so we can live in it, survive in it, and thrive in it. So when we transfer into a gifted economy, which I believe we probably will do, we'll start doing that, like in around 50 years. Like I'm already seeing the historical signs that we're heading that way. We can all be giving to our heart's content then, because everything else will be taken care of via another system of economics. But, however, today we live in a monetary system, and while it's a system that's struggling and we still all need to pay our bills and we all deserve to participate in the abundance that is available to us, there is no talent that is more deserving than another, since it all comes from the same source. So reality check. If you have this division of spiritual work versus man's work, or God's work versus not God's work, you are operating out of outdated programming that is not serving you in today's world. It's very difficult to recognize programming sometimes because it's ingrained in you and you think it's true. That's why it's called programming versus beliefs. And this programming, by the way, is the number one reason why the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, because the rich don't have this programming. And the more the spiritual awakening that's occurring on the planet today, it's coincided with the fast loss of the middle class, the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer, because we haven't upgraded that hemispheres of our brain and the ancestral beliefs, this whole separation of labor and what comes from spirit and what does not. So that 99%, so to speak, that we hear about quite a lot today, haven't upgraded their dualistic programming. So is this making sense to you? So until we as a collective start shifting our values and our beliefs to a singular idea that all being created equal, all being inspired by our source, all can participate in the abundance of the universe, therefore all can prosper, regardless of what their individual purpose is, their gifts and their talents. And until we make that shift as a collective, then the rich will continue to get richer and the poor will continue to get poorer. So let's stop that cycle today, my friends. Decide with me right now to be active and consistent with identifying and removing point number 3, which is you need to dissolve outdated ancestral beliefs. Come into the modern world so we can all drive it to a better place. Money in the hands of good-hearted people following their soul's grand plan for a life of purpose and prosperity will create magnificence, of which we are yet to experience. Decide not to participate in dualistic thinking and programming anymore right now. That's the first step to identifying it. You have to be willing to think something different.
Now you know the specifics of the 3 memory packages that you need to identify within your mind, stored in your brain. The question becomes, how do you identify the nitty-gritty of those beliefs that are stored there, and how do you get rid of them? How do you get rid of the dualistic program? How do you marry the hemispheres of your brain together so that you have work, reward and money married to purpose, spirituality, creativity? They're all synergizing together in your favor and you're creating the results that you want. Well, the answer to that lies within understanding how to use the law of mind, law of destruction and the law of currency, to name a few, so that you can identify and remove the resistance. And unfortunately it's a little bit too involved for this evening, so I thought I'd create a longer webinar explaining all and then showing you how you can do this hemisphere marriage and dualistic program removal, etc. That way I'll have much more time to dive deep into the subject rather than try and squeeze it all into this easy. So then you'll have some tangible tools to work with, and you can begin to clear away your own blocks, obstacles and programming and really get those results that you're looking for. And we can increase that 3% statistic, that really atrocious statistic, and more people can be happy with the results that they're getting. So look, I've got my Mission Blueprint live event coming up August the 31st, and then I go right into Mission Blueprint Bootcamp seminar. So I'm kind of like trying to figure out where have I got a spot to squeeze the time in to make the webinars. So I'm hoping that I'll try and get that done over the next, probably it'll be at least 3 weeks away. Sometime the first week of September, second week of September, something like that. So if you're interested in learning about these techniques of clearing so that you can actually start to remove your own blocks, can you do me a favor and register your interest using the link below? So you just head on over to the website using that link, and then fill the form out. And just as soon as I start releasing the first video and the information, I'll send you a quick reminder for where you can go to watch it. So you'll see the link below for that in this video, or you can go to themissionmentor.com/remove blocks. So that's it for this month's edition of Strategy with Spirit, and I'll see you either in the upcoming webinar on removing those blocks or in next month's Strategy with Spirit. Bye for now.